I'm Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Angela.
We are the Ink Mages. Join us as we discuss all things fantasy, world building, storycraft, myths and legends, and, of course, our own imaginative stories.
Welcome to the Ink Mages podcast. We're so glad you've joined us. Today we have a special guest who's going to be joining us on the podcast. We have author Havelah McLat. She's going to be on the Ink Mages with us, and we're so excited to talk about her new fantasy book. Havelah grew up on a small farm in rural Ohio with her family. As a kid, she spent hours drawing and then crafting short stories to go along with her illustrations. I remember doing that as a kid.
Me too.
As she grew older, her passion grew to write stories about the world, faith, and topics that matter the most to her. She has written several short fictions that have been featured in different anthologies. When she isn't writing, she reads books, draws, helps with activity events at her local church and community, and spends time with her family. So let's welcome Havelah to the show.
Welcome, Havelah. We're so excited to have you. It's been so fun being Instagram buddies.
Yes.
Havelah's one of our Instagram buddies. We love to support her in all the books that she's written, and especially the most recent.
Yes, I enjoy seeing you guys posting, and I
Yes.
do want to read your series, Angela, at some point. I just don't know when. I just think reading a series takes a lot of dedication and time. So.
It does, and they're not small. They're nice and they're nice thick. Novels. I'm working at writing smaller ones, but
it's
it's
nice
definitely
to have
thicker.
some mediums. So
Yeah. And Havelah is great at writing shorter fiction. I aspire to write a novel that's 50,000 words or less.
Yes, yeah, a good night grab.
I never been a long novel more than 50,000 words. I do have one manuscript in that range, but it's a little longer. Actually, When You Return, that's the longest one I've written for publishing it. But
yeah. Wow.
And when I got underwriter, I'm just I just let the story tell itself. And
Yes. So we always like to start our episode finding out some fun, nerdy facts about you in the sci-fi fantasy realm. What's something that you can share with us about yourself?
Actually, I grew up watching Disney movies and Tinkerbell, one of them, and also Barbie too. Fantasy, so it kind of fits in that category. And I always been inspired, just because I would draw first. I always draw before I even became a writer. And just one day we were going somewhere. My sister, who's also a writer, but now she's into more drawing. So. But I was asked, can you write a little story or something based off these characters? I would use characters like me and my sisters and my family or friends. And she would write a little short story, just very basic, you think about. And that's when it got started. I was like, I want to do that. And ever since then, I just started mostly dialogues before I got to realize there's so much more to a story than just dialogue. I would do more like fan fiction.
That's how it starts. Yeah.
So that's where my love for just a simple, fun fantasy story, and then I got into a different genre, and I think I had to kind of go. There's a time you just want to go into that one, or go into this one. So that's just how I kind of jump around.
One of my favorite Tinkerbell movies when my kids were growing up was The Never Beast. I think we watched that one 5 million times because we wanted Never Beast stuffed animals. We wanted it all because it was so amazing.
Actually, a pirate. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What was it? It was something the pirate. It had the pirate in the name. The fairy pirate, maybe.
Yeah,
like
that.
Okay. They had quite a few.
Took a little clips and you did for the wheel. I was like, I need something to kind of give a little bit. What if it was this instead of that? Or so that's what we kind of see that of.
I love that art was your way of getting into storytelling. I was kind of the same way. I wanted to do art. I didn't think about doing books, but through doing art, it kind of is just a natural segue into storytelling.
Like I said, it was just I think it takes one person to just like, I don't know, just I was in my early teens when I got into writing. I was like 13, between 14. So then I just kind of, from there, as I got older, I got more into writing than drawing. But I still draw once in a while. I just
Yeah,
kind of
that was going to be my next question is where like to talk about your author journey because you were storytelling at a young age, but like when did you make the decision that you really wanted to be a writer or take it seriously?
So it was, like I said, I think it was 2011 when I started writing because my sister, I think it was 2010 or 2011. And I think it was just beginning of that time I would just do little short stories with I would use draw. I have 8x11 paper. I would do a little illustration and then I would do a little story, like handwritten books or something, and I would just staple it. But that's how I got started. So now that was more because I was into. I wasn't thinking at the time it was fan fiction until I got. And I think the very first short story that kind of quickly on my own when I watched Wildcat about basilisk lizards that walk on water.
Yeah.
And that's my first story. I used my own characters, my family characters, and that's how. And then from there, I kind of realized, okay, so you can't really use character that's already been published or copyright, and I had to find a way to. And that was a born. I was just kind of like, this is really I want to get into. Like, became more serious. Like, there's more to the dialogues, and need more. You gotta have some more setting, the right backgrounds, and it was a long journey.
Yeah.
So that was like 14, 13, 14,
Oh, wow.
kind of like, because I'm 27 now, so I've been almost 12, 15 years ago, I think.
Wow.
Can't remember.
You've been writing for half your life.
Yes, half of my life, yes. But that's how I got started.
How old were you when you published your first book? Because you have
Okay.
several, right? How many books do you have published now?
Well, I published 3 books of my own and one anthology. I collaborate with other authors. Now, before then, I actually did publish ebooks, Smashwords, like way before I even. And I realized I made a lot of mistakes. To kind of, when I made a lot of mistakes, I still make mistakes now, but
Yeah,
We all do.
yes.
I think the major mistake is like, because I was doing, like I said, short stories on Smashwords, ebooks free. And I realized that cover editing and I could do so much more, and also marketing, like street team. And the only reason I start over again is after watching so many YouTube videos of other indie authors. I realized I was trying to get traditionally published, and I think at the time I met you, Kata, Stephanie Kata. I think Instagram we were talking about one fantasy novel I had, and I was just like. And then my family was saying, why don't you just do self-publish? Just for a time to kind of build your name up a little bit. Just trying to get yourself in the foot into that space with that. Because if you feel like traditionally, nobody's really picking me, like nobody's really interested in my work. So I said, why not? I'll just give it a shot. And I did. So ever since then, and now I'm kind of stepping back a little bit from self-publishing. It's a lot. I'm already planning to relaunch my debut novel sometime end of the year. I'm like, it's already taking a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Well, you've
So,
done
yeah.
really great as an indie author. Your covers look good. Like they look really solid. And I don't how we met. I feel like I got an invitation from you to join your street team. And at the time, I was so new to authoring also that I didn't even know what a street team was. But I was like,
Yeah.
sure, I'll join a street team. Like I don't know what this is, but it really you did it so well. Like you managed it so well, and it eventually I did my first real street team for Heartsmith. So I'm like so glad that you presented a wonderful model for me to follow, and I will always do that going forward.
Yeah, I just feel like that's what I mean. I published three ebooks and then I scraped that off and realized I need to start from scratch. And the only reason I knew any about Street Team or Arc Team, etc., because of indie authors I have watched. And that's the foundation that helped me. And I enjoy doing street team and art team. I know there are different things that work for me and what doesn't work for me. And I think the bigger thing for me, because I think it's pre-orders. I know that is a big thing because I do a lot of marketing. I
You
do
do.
enjoy it.
And you do really well with your marketing. You do reels, you do wonderful graphics.
I try. I do my best. I've been a little slacking lately, but I do so much marketing, and especially when I have to team, which is really big help. It's very helpful. That's one of those things that you can find what works and what doesn't.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I think that's like the journey for all authors. Like there's some things that work really well for some authors and not others, and it's finding what works for you. So tell us about the Dust and Crown. So this is your fantasy. So you've done a lot of sweet romance, right?
Yes.
And this Dust and Crown is your published fantasy novel. Tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to write this one.
Yay!
It's so pretty. It's such a pretty cover.
Pretty.
Yes.
You nailed it.
This is actually fun fact. I actually did publish the story in 2019, but the story itself was not exactly what it was back then. And the cover and the title was different. It was nothing like this. So as she said, in order to get a little foundation how this started, we went back 6 years ago. I think it would be 2018, I think, or 2019. It was 2018. My friend and I were into Anastasia, and I heard about Anastasia play, and I did not know a whole lot about Anastasia, to be honest. I remember watching as a kid, and my sister and her friend said, yeah, my sister's friend said, yeah, it's 2 stories. Like, really? It's like, and then I watched it again a couple years later, and I was like, I need to do some research. And I did. Let's just say I got into a rabbit hole ever since. and then I read a couple fantasy, historical fiction. And then like I said, I seen the Broadway musical, which would be in 2020. But I want to write a story. It's just a fun one. But I feel like it's already there. There's so many stories already out there. I said, what about fairies? I mean, like, what if I just take what's already written and do it? So I did. And I self-published it in 2019. And then I think I unpublished in 2020. That's when I started all over again in my publishing journey. But as time went on, I think we've been spring 2022, I think. Or 21. I can't remember. It was the summertime, actually. And I was looking at the story, and I realized I'm not very happy with it. It's like feels way too much like the movie, by musical. Like, I need something different. So I started over again from scratch, and I actually had someone read it before, a development editor. She actually retired. I was the last client, so I was like, ooh. But she read it, and she gave me so many ideas. I was like, why did I even think of that? It's like, and so I took the foundation she gave me, and I actually, like I said, start over again. It has got to be a story that I actually love. It still has all that nostalgic feel and all the familiar. It's important because I heard people say when it comes to retelling, and that's when there's something.
Okay, but I'm like, because Anastasia is a historical figure, you could basically do a spin on the story of Anastasia and you'd be fine because that's a historical figure. So you're like, I'm doing an Anastasia retelling, you're fine.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, but a lot of it, inspiration, like you might recognize nostalgic, like the movie and the musical. But there's still a lot of people have reviewed my book. A lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't know it's very similar to the movie," or think about. Now that's fine when you say similar or very much like, but it's still my own and that's where I had to ask my editor, like. Yeah. I need you to tell me. Am I in a safe
space?
Or am I out of boundaries? And that's where I need. So she did a little bit of research. She read it. She said, I'm in a safe box, safe zone. Yeah. And it's just like we did have to do a little bit. I had to do like the music box also necklace. They kind of do a little bit, because in original, actually, Anastasia did get a music box from
Yes,
her
in the
grandmother,
movie. Yeah.
and it was silver. It was not like flowers. I did use the flowers, but silver. Everything is silver. So it still has a lot of historical aspects that is true, but a lot of it's fiction. It's just like you have to find you can still take all this, but you guys have to have your own spin and why you wrote it and why you want to write it.
It's a very fun, lighthearted adventure. And the title is Dust and Crown. So can you explain like what the Dust and Crown means and how it pertains to your main character, Nastia?
So I use dust to represent fairy magic, so you can see those dust around.
Right.
So involved, it's this, and the trees, there's a point. And then I want a crown to represent, it could be royal, but actually one of the fairies get chosen to take care of the clan of fairies, the kingdom. So that's why I want to keep it short, because a lot of fantasy books have 5 words, or sometimes gotta go less, so it's easier to remember. And I
We
done
were just talking
research,
about that.
like research on Amazon, and I found there's very few books that have that title. There's some titles say Dust of Crowns, Dust something crown. Like there's people switch up the word, but I don't think I have seen use the word and, but I've seen more like something. So it's very similar title, but they will recognize that it's a different story because they know, oh, same title, but 2 different stories. So that's very helpful. So that's how it came. I just brainstormed. I had different other titles, and that just came. I realized I think it hits the point element, especially on the cover. Because you guys told me, like, well, when you guys did a YouTube video about cover design, make sure you have important elements, not overcrowded, and just try to keep it simple. And I still can see.
Yep, there's a dragonfly or a little
Yeah,
fairy
like,
creature.
yeah, if you like read the book and you recognize that Anastasia had dragonfly wings, so it kind of gives a represent. Okay, fairies. So it was fun. It was a little bit stressful, but I think when I was stressful, because I can't make up my mind. I had trouble, and but I'm happy.
It's beautiful. I love your cover. It's very, very pretty. It's very magical. It definitely says fantasy.
Yes.
And it definitely, just the look of the book tells me exactly what I'm getting into. What's next for you? Like what books are you planning on writing next? Do you have any other things in the plan?
Actually, I'm not really planning to publish anything right now. So to focus on my freelance business and also do more book signings. I feel like I don't do enough. And I do vendors. I do well. So I'm gonna do more vendors. I got a couple connections that people have told me about, and that's the only way for me to learn about. This event's coming, participate in this, so I'm willing to do that as long as it's local and not super far away. I do have projects. I do want to work on my fantasy by finally looking to beta readers. And also, my querying process is kind of been quite a journey.
Yeah, that's right. You have a historical fiction novel that you've been
Yes, I
working on.
do. Yeah, historical fiction, middle grade. Long Journey Home has been a story of mine since 2019.
Wow.
Off and on project. I still have a couple. I'm waiting for response. One agent I have full request. Not sure when I will hear from her. She said, "Oh, it's so funny because she said, woefully behind, woefully behind reading, but I want to read it." It's just funny she didn't use the word woefully. Like,
woefully.
So,
well, what advice would you give to somebody who would like to start writing a book, or possibly start like moving into the indie book publishing?
I think my best advice is write a story that matters to you. Also, it's okay to it's important to know your genre. That's a big thing I learned about, but don't feel obligated to stick to that genre all the time. It's like your marketing, like your brand. I ran into a lot of, especially YouTubers, they stick to one genre, like romance. That's their market, they can do different genres within that subgenre, I should say. But
Okay.
that's their main market brand. And you don't feel like you have room to explore other realms and not just romance. And I was like, it's okay. I call myself multi genre author. Like I do romance, short stories, I do fantasy. So you kind of see that I don't like sticking on one genre, and I just encourage it's okay to explore other genres. Just know what you want to share that matters. Don't
Yes.
feel obligated to publish so many books. I think that's what's happening right now. A lot of indie authors are publishing and I'm
Yeah.
not against it. I try once for myself, and I realize it's not for me. I realize it can be exhausting, especially if you
Mhm.
don't, especially if you're writing somebody's story. But sometimes some of the stories they've written are not meant to be published, and I think that's what a lot of
Mm.
authors are running into. It's like write a story, I'm going to publish it, like so they can get backlist. And that's fine. But sometimes maybe that story is for you.
Hmm.
And then maybe
Yeah.
down the road, when you feel like it's worth sharing, you know it's worth
Yeah.
sharing. But like
Ah,
I've written several short stories. I have other projects I don't know I'm gonna publish it. You know what I mean? So it's okay. Just write a story that matters to you. Feel free to explore different genres. You don't have to stick to one. And also, don't feel obligated to publish tons of books. Just work on a story that you feel worth sharing and work on that and go at your pace. And I think you'll find a lot of freedom, both feel joy and also just appreciate it. And it's okay to make mistakes because it's
Yeah.
part of growing. And
yes.
so, yeah, that's my tip, kind of.
Those
I
are
love
great
it.
tips. I love it. Takes the pressure off even me. I'm like,
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's so good. Yes.
I love,
So
I
where
love
can
doing that.
people find more information about you if they want to purchase your books or follow
So,
your journey?
yeah, you can. I'm on Instagram, Havelah McLat Writer. Also, I'm on Threads, Havelah McLat Writer. Also, you can sign up for my newsletter. If it'll be on my website, havelahmclat.wixsite.com/home. And if you just keep going, you'll see you can sign up for my newsletter. When you
Nice.
sign up, you get a free short story. So it's just a
Ooh.
little something. And that short story is also connected to my debut novel, but it's just like a little. It's just one of the backstories actually is in the book, but you don't get to see like experience from a kid's point of view. It's like I said, friends to lovers, so it's like how they met from very young, and get to see each other till a couple of years later. But it's just very sweet, and I have so much fun with it. I said, why not? Take a little. So that's a little free short story when you
Love
sign up.
it.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
amazing.
I think that's where you can find. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can visit my website and visit me on my social media. So yeah,
That's amazing. Well, Havelah, we had so much fun having you on the show today. I love
yeah,
talking about Dust and Crown and your author journey, and
yes,
hopefully it helps a lot of you listeners out there. I think there's so
yeah,
many of us just going on this journey together, and we're
yes,
discovering what works and writing amazing stories. And I love what Havelah said, writing stories that matter. They matter to you
yeah,
and are
yes,
important. So thanks for joining us. Please leave
yes.
a comment,
Thank you for
leave a
having me. I had
like.
fun.
Yes, we loved having you, and we'll see you next time.